The answer to your question as to why measures have been taken to put restrictions in the Haramain and the hadith about the plague, that it will not enter Medina. The answer to that is we must distinguish between al-Ṭaʿūn and al-Wabāʼ. Al-Ṭaʿūn and al-Wabāʼ. The hadith mentions that al-Ṭaʿūn and ad-Dajjal will not enter into Medina. Now, al-Ṭaʿūn is a unique type of disease, the plague, and it's a type of disease in which the jinn are involved as well, because the Messenger of Allah he said in a hadith, he mentioned that the perishing of my nation will be through al-Ṭaʿn wa al-Ṭaʿūn. Right, al-Ṭaʿn is being pierced with a sword, right, basically being killed. So the Sahaba understood that, but they didn't understand what he meant by al-Ṭaʿūn, alayhi salatu wasalam. So he said that al-Ṭaʿūn is the piercing of your enemies among the jinn. So he described al-Ṭaʿūn as something that involves the jinn and what they do to a person in this disease. And he said, it is for my nation, it is a martyrdom, but it was a punishment for the nations who came before. And in one narration he says Bani Israel, but for my ummah it is a martyrdom. So the scholars like Ibn al-Qayyim and others, Ibn Hajar, when they discuss this, they say that al-Ṭaʿūn is actually it is a unique disease. It is not the same as the more general term al-Wabāʼ. Al-Wabāʼ is a general term that refers to common death, like death taking place in a given location, and which can be tied to the corruption of the air, putrefaction, meaning there's lots of carcasses, dead bodies that corrupt the air, and so on and so forth. So al-Wabāʼ is a more general term. Al-Ṭaʿūn is a specific term. It refers to a specific disease which is unique because the jinn are involved in it. And so therefore we can't say about this disease that it's just due to environment and it only occurs in a certain time. Ibn al-Qayyim refutes these claims. He says al-Ṭaʿūn is a unique disease. It is a punishment from Allah. It can occur at any time, and it's not tied, it's not caused by environmental factors. It's actually a unique disease. So this will not enter into Medina. But as for al-Wabāʼ, then al-Wabāʼ will be found in Medina and likewise in Mecca, because this is a more general type of disease, which can have environmental and other factors, right? And so Ibn Hajar mentions a number of narrations where the Prophet, when he prohibited traveling to a land in which there is a Ṭaʿūn, in some narrations it also mentions al-Wabāʼ, right, prohibiting traveling to a place where there is al-Wabāʼ, right? So al-Wabāʼ being the more general term. So this means that quarantine and lockdown of a place can apply even to Medina if there is, for example, a common death appearing and a large-scale illness is breaking out in a given region. Then a lockdown can be put down, and this does not contradict the hadith relating to al-Ṭaʿūn, because al-Ṭaʿūn is a specific disease. It has specific symptoms, the under the armpits, the wounds appear, the body opens under the armpits, and then organisms which have been growing inside find their way out, right, and wounds appear. It's got specific symptoms, and it's a specific disease, right? So al-Ṭaʿūn is a specific term for a specific disease which has involvement of the jinn, and al-Wabāʼ is a more general term referring to common death by way of a common disease which can have environmental and other factors. And so a quarantine can be applied to both, right? To al-Ṭaʿūn and al-Wabāʼ. However, al-Ṭaʿūn will not enter into Medina. So this is how the explanation of the, you know, what you mentioned, which appears to be an apparent contradiction, it is actually not. The answer to it lies in distinguishing between al-Ṭaʿūn and al-Wabāʼ.